Gonna set my clock that I don't take up too much time. Thanks. And hello. So yeah, pleasure to be here. Buongiorno e benvenuti alla presentazione di 2.Quantics. Mi chiamo Christoph Pitschnau.
So you can speak in Italian. All your pitch.
Way too small, unfortunately. That's why I will switch back to English. Yeah. My pleasure today to present how we empower manufacturers with next-gen supply chain planning on our clients' terms. First of all, I will talk a bit about 2.Quantics itself, what we do, who we are, then about how we help manufacturers. Before then going in details about commercials and how we differentiate from other vendors on the market.
Scusate, potete mettere in muto il microfono?
E ho disattivato tutti gli audio, scusatemi.
Ok, grazie. Ok, sorry.
Thanks a lot. No problem. Stop. Sorry.
Ciao Barbara, intanto ti saluto, ho visto che sei collegata.
Sì, ciao, penso di essere stata io a fare un po' di confusione perché ho il computer nuovo e le cuffie non si erano subito collegate, quindi chiedo scusa se vi ho fatto un po' di rumore.
Non ti preoccupare, ben arrivata.
Grazie mille.
Ciao,
Si parte con Experiment?
Sì, no, con 2.Quantics, siamo a 2.Quantics, appena iniziato da 2.Quantics.
Ok, perfetto.
No.
Perfect. Now we're all set. Let's go. Yeah, so we help companies worldwide with supply chain planning solutions. We're happy that we have customers from Argentina to North America, over Africa, Europe to Asia. And we focus on supporting enterprise manufacturing clients with our solutions. A bit about the company. Myself, I have a background in supply chain management. I've been before helping mainly automotive companies like BMWs and others to optimize the supply chain. And I'm now CEO of 2.Quantics. Part of the team is also Johannes. He's our software expert and doubles as his role as COO. So he ensures that also in complex customer projects, the solution can be adapted specifically to the customer needs. And finally, Rasul Arkai, he's our chief data scientist. He's the brain behind our forecasting solution. He has also received from the Austrian National Bank a research position at the University of Vienna for his outstanding skills. And he leads the time series Analyze and Forecasting Society. So for example, he's next week in Beijing to discuss with Rob Heidman and other leading researchers about forecasting and how to advance the field. So we all have a background in manufacturing, focus on software solutions, have cross-functional expertise, and are very passionate about building solutions that really help manufacturers improve their planning. Basically, the work on our solution started back in 2016 when Rasul started to develop the solution. In 2020, in August, we incorporated the company, have then also received roughly 570K in innovation funding for developing innovative and AI-driven solutions for demand forecasting manufacturing, and have then been working a couple of years of really making an enterprise-grade solution, and are happy to have since 2023 now customers worldwide, and are currently have a bit modified our business model and are now extending the functionality. So the whole company is owned by the founders, and it's developing well. It's bootstrapped, and this year we'll have a couple of million euro in revenue. So we were founded back in 2020. We're located in Vienna, Austria. As mentioned, we focus purely on manufacturing companies, enterprise companies, which typically have B2B clients because they have different demand patterns, and that's the core focus of our expertise. We support leading companies with up to 20+ billion in annual sales. Reference customers are, for example, Mondi from paper and packaging. The solutions that we offer, and we'll talk about in detail, are demand forecasting, demand planning, and functionalities related integrated supply chain planning. Now, how do we help manufacturing companies? When it comes to demand forecasting, it's typically very difficult for manufacturers to provide good results. If you have B2B customers, you don't have a lot of small sales like in a B2C environment, but you have batch shipments, and it makes it very hard to provide accurate forecast on a disaggregate level, like plant, customer sold to, shipped to, material type. And of course, especially in a dynamic world, it's hard to adapt to uncertainty and to be really ahead with your forecast. On the other hand side, you have an advantage in B2B because you have a team of sales representatives that can add value to the forecast, but many manufacturing companies, they struggle with integrating them effectively. As a result, manufacturers lose annually millions in EBT improvement potentials by not making the best of their forecasting efforts. We're addressing this problem with our solution. So on the one hand side, we have an external data hub, which provides macroeconomic data, other information that can be used for forecasting. Of course, we need to evaluate, does it add value? Does it have any explanatory value for the forecasting itself? And in contrast to other players on the market, we pursue a different forecasting approach. Instead of just forecasting on the disaggregate level, like plant, customer sold to material type, we model the whole organization. So from the group level over the plant, material, down to the bottom level. And we then predict on all the levels, learning from those levels and integrating them in one reconciled forecast. The benefit of this approach is that on the bottom level, the data is very noisy. It's very hard to predict. And by learning from the context of the company, we can increase the forecast accuracy further. This all is done by our AI engine, which continuously reevaluates the data, potential external signals which come in, and then selects one or multiple methods for each individual time series that is forecasted on all levels. Using statistical machine learning, sometimes also deep learning, but manufacturing mainly machine learning and statistical models, combining them in weighted models to ensure that we have the best possible forecast that goes into your demand planning process. Also in manufacturing, you often have different stakeholders that have different needs from forecasting. Finance wants an 18-month forecast, but on a group level or business unit level, while production wants a more detailed forecast that goes down to each specific material and each specific plant. So we are not just learn across those levels, but we also create forecasts for different forecast horizons and integrating them to ensure we have the best possible forecast for our clients. In addition, we have a demand planning UI, which is all about bringing together all the stakeholders in a B2B manufacturing settings, the sales representatives, account executives, demand planners, in order to achieve a collaborative process to continuously improve forecasting, better understand the drivers of demand, and help to plan for future scenarios. Here we have developed a lot of unique functions on the market, which are specifically tailored to our clients from enterprise manufacturing. To provide a statement, this is from Bengt Steinbrecher. He is head of digital partnerships at Holcim. That's a Swiss-based global multinational with 25 billion in sales from construction material industry, who refers to our solution as leading solution to most efficiently manage supply and demand and leverage insights from internal and external data sources. To provide you with some context, so how good the forecast accuracy is, that always depends on the data set. And we just had before a presentation about forecasting, so it very much depends on the data. So I will not tell you how good the forecast is. Typically, there's a benchmark, and we show you that we can prove against that benchmark because it very much depends on the data. But to give you a case study and that it also provides value for companies which already have the leading solutions in place, let me show you this case study. It's from a manufacturer based in the UK. It's from the process industry. And they have the challenge that they have a lot of different customer types. They follow different demand patterns. They have seasonality. And what is for them very challenging, it's not just that they need to know what they sell, when and where, but they also need to optimize outbound delivery. So they need to know exactly where should ship and what kind of transport vehicles they need to conduct those operations. And they tried various approaches to address the problem. So they tried the leading vendors on the market. They were not satisfied. Then they had experts develop a tailored solution just for them. And we had the opportunity to show Quantics, and they're since then using our demand forecasting and demand planning functions. And just in the first couple of months, they achieved an additional 10% inventory reduction on top to their self-developed solution that they had specifically tailored to them to achieve optimal results, giving them a couple of million inventory reductions and a very fast return on investment. But our solution is more than just demand forecasting and planning, which is the core of our functionality, but we have an integrated planning suite that is purpose-built for enterprise manufacturing, that leverage best technology, is modular and flexible. So besides the demand forecasting, we have additional extensions like previously mentioned external data hub, financial planning, inventory planning, distribution planning and optimization, and then additional product modules going more in the operational sphere for production planning, inventory management, and a control tower. Now, on the inventory and production side, we want to combine technological innovation with process innovation. I'm not sure if you're familiar with demand-driven materials requirement planning. It's a different inventory management approach. In the classic MRP approach, you use a forecast, then you look at your finished product stocks, and then you determine how much you produce, when to reorder. In demand-driven materials requirement planning, you do not use the forecast to decide when to replenish your inventory, but you use actual demand. But you still need a good forecast because it helps you to have buffer sizes that adapt to fluctuations in your inventory. So it's a much more dynamic concept, and it has shown to provide a lot of value. We know such a change for any big company is very tricky to go from MRP to DDMRP. That is a mindset change that needs to bring all the stakeholders on board in the company. And we don't judge which is the best approach, but we would like to support our clients in transition to the best approach that fits to them. That's why we offer in our inventory management solution and production planning an approach that is suited to MRP-based planning, but also DDMRP, and giving you an easy way to validate the benefits where it can add value, and then also migrate on a flexible pace per business unit, per region, as it suits to your business organization. That DDMRP also provides a lot of value. Just quick case study from Deloitte. This is for the largest beverage manufacturer in Denmark, so to say Carlsberg. And they did a test pre-COVID and during COVID to evaluate what is the benefit. And they achieved, in both cases, pre-COVID and during COVID, a 42% reduction of inventory, which is substantial. So for a big company, that can be easily 10 to 70, depending on revenue, up to 100 millions in cost reduction per year. On the other hand side, of course, you have a bit more fluctuation because it's a more dynamic concept, but it has a huge optimization potential for the companies. Our solutions are designed for enterprise manufacturing, and therefore also it's set up in a way that you can have a global tenant that combines all information, but still being flexible to have your business unit and regional entities in sub-tenants that have different planning flexibility, can set it up based on their processes, how they need it. And of course, our solution is also tested for very large data sets for our manufacturing clients. It can be very easily integrated in your existing ERP system. And also if you have a lot of M&A transaction, a lot of different ERP systems, we help you also with combining if you have different IDs for different products to make sure that it really fits and can be used for demand forecasting and planning. And finally, security is, of course, very important for us. We have a lot of measures in place to do that. And we get ongoing external auditors to do penetration tests and validate also our process security. Now, how does it look like from pricing and services? As you see in our slogan, it's called Next Gen Planning on Your Terms, because our focus is to really provide it based on the needs of big manufacturing clients, to make it flexible so that they can use it best possibly in their specific setup. So the solution itself, it's set up in a modular way. So you just pay for the functions that you want, and it's also scope-based. So if you just start with one business unit, that's sufficient, and you can scale up further. But what is also very important, we're not just a classic software as a service vendor. but we also offer the opportunity for ownership, because we know at some point in enterprise it's about risk mitigation, and the question comes up, can we have more control over the solution? So for this, we often offer a very fast and flexible path. So first you can start with a SaaS setup to validate the benefits in a couple of weeks. Then you can go live, let's say, with one country. You can test it there. We keep you on the SaaS environment. But at some point, when you say, okay, you want to go further, we give you the opportunity to switch to a perpetual license so that you have full control over the solution. How does this make us different to other vendors on the market? First of all, you have the benefits of SaaS. You have low commitment. You can get started fast. And then you have still the benefit of being the owner, being independent, and having the flexibility on where to host it in your private cloud, or using our SaaS solution. And in addition, we support you with very flexible customization. So from customization of the solution itself to co-development with our team, or that you train your own team to further develop the solution, everything is possible. The solution itself is built for complexity, it's adaptable to you, and as said, it's co-development capable, and typically we work very close with our clients. So we have a boutique services approach. We focus on a few large manufacturing clients. We're typically very closely integrated with their internal teams, extending their internal teams, and having long and trustful cooperations. And you have direct access to our experts. So there's no outsourcing. We're working very close and direct together, and we're able to flexibly tailor our services to your needs. Those services go from consulting about supply chain and data science over project management, the onboarding, hypercare, data pre-processing, all the steps, until software development, to IT setup. So if you decide at some point to go to on a perpetual license and you want to host it internally, we're also supporting you with setting up the cloud environment, conducting the migration, and training your technical staff on it. Now, to wrap it all up, why do leading manufacturers choose Quantics? So as said, we help manufacturers by making forecasts more accurate, making faster and easier planning possible, reducing inventory and costs, improving resilience, and achieving higher customer satisfaction. To be a bit more specific about all those points, let's just look at basically the options on the market. You can have an ERP extension for supply chain planning. You can have a specialized supply chain planning vendor. Then there are SaaS vendors on the market for supply chain planning. There's Quantics, and there's also custom development. So basically you build a solution from scratch. Now our solution is tailored to enterprise manufacturing. So we're focusing on those data sets, the functions, and everything is prepared for that. We have shown, and we're happy to have reference call with clients, that our solution provides superior forecasting quality in our approach that we have developed over the last couple of years. In addition, we have unique functions for B2B collaboration, which makes it much easier to integrate your sales team and to improve continuously. Again, as mentioned before, we not just have one inventory management approach, but we support multiple, so that it really fits to all the entities of your organization and that you can use it globally. And the solution is very easy to adapt, customize, and it scales with your organization. Also from architecture and integration, as mentioned, it's very flexible to integrate with your IT landscape, from manufacturing execution system, CRM, ERP system. And with this multi-tenant flexibility, we can really integrate your whole setup in one solution while giving you the flexibility to adjust the planning for individual entities in your organizations. We support your multiple ERP landscapes. We help you with this fast setup based on the SaaS solution, reducing implementation effort and reducing costs and risks. And finally, you are in control. So we have set ongoing security audits. You can host it by yourself. For business continuity, you're not just reliant on our experts, but you can train your own staff on it to ensure that you have business continuity. We can also, in the maintenance contract, provide you with product updates, but you can also further develop the solution yourself or request change requests. And with our boutique service model, we ensure that we are in close contact to provide you with best possible insights. As mentioned, with the SaaS perpetual license model, there is no vendor lock-in. You are in control, and you can use it how it fits to your organizations. And with this approach, we also have lower total cost of ownerships, giving you also a cost advantage for your company. Yeah, thanks a lot for your attention and happy for your answers, questions.
Thank you so much, Christoph. Thank you so much. So it's time to Q&A session. Is there any question for Christoph? I've seen that there's some other E&I colleague that have joined the conference. Any question? Yeah, the first one is coming from Luca Greco Salov.
Ciao, it's Luca speaking. So we produce extra virgin olive oil, so we are a manufacturer. Just a question right now, but maybe later more than one. In our industry is central, the supply chain, ERP, so this is make the fortune or not of the company. Yes. So when you say that this product is integrated in the ERP, what does it exactly mean? Because we know there are plenty of data inside. It comes from forecasting, comes from sales order, purchasing, subsidiaries. No, you have plenty of data. Sales order that you have already planned to produce. No, so a lot of data. So we have SAP for the entire group, and we have a cascading ERP, so to manage everything of that. But maybe we have not AI to support that, and that crucial data is forecasting. Okay? From one side, you start talking about the forecasting, but you assume the forecasting is correct.
That is, I mean, the forecast is never correct.
Is not.
That is.
That is not. Okay.
Reduce the error, make decisions smarter.
Basically, the question is the first one that when you say that's integrated, you in this tool can read directly the data from the SAP, or need to be transferred SAP data to this tool before it become to work. And so it's an external that can live without specific ERP, or is integrated like, let's say, an add-on tool?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, which data we use depends a bit on what product the customer wants to use. If we stay just with demand forecasting, it's typically we have the historic sales, order book, organizational structure, maybe also other information on framework agreements with customers, certain call-offs, sales representatives and their responsibilities, who plans for what. And this information is typically pushed. So typically we don't have we get the data pushed from the ERP system because we're just making it smarter, but you remain in control of the data. So then we get this data pushed to demand forecasting and planning. Then our forecasting engine runs on top. We model your hierarchy, added external information if it adds value, and then basically you get the forecast back. If we go down to inventory management, then of course we're talking about orders. Then we are creating replenishment suggestions that need to go to your ERP system. So it's dependent a bit on the setup.
So, but that you will basically you need to replicate the data in your tool. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But of course, and I think that comes a bit back to that discussion which we often have about security and hosting and everything. That's exactly why you can host it on your environment. So it can be easily.
You can host.
Yeah, you can host it on your. I mean, it should be a cloud environment because AI applications can be a bit computationally expensive. On-premise might be a bit slow with the forecasting engine if it needs to sift through a lot of data. But we give the customers the flexibility that they can host it in their cloud because we know data security is top concern about enterprise manufacturing.
But you have designed already, let's say, connector that knows the ERP, particular ERP, so you can use that, or you have to build everything, customizing everything.
No, we have like a standard REST APIs, but there's like, depending on your ERP system, let's say your SAP and SAP version, there still might be some parameters that need to be tuned because they can be different. So we need to ensure that they can speak to each other.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gianluca Ceruti, Università Cattolica. Just a question about the comparison. What do you mean the difference between specialized vendor and generic vendor? It's always in this environment of supply chain tools.
So we have typically an ERP extension, so you have your ERP system. Exactly. And then you have the classic SaaS solution, which only does SaaS deployment, focusing on supply chain planning, and then you got some others which also have like on-prem running, and that's the distinction here.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Sorry, you make also the, let's say, mean analysis, so you know that forecasting is determine the quality, no? Sometime month by month forecasting change, no?
I think
So you normally produce 3 months in advance what you discover later moments that you have not correctly focused on forecasting. So when you say we can improve forecasting, what do you exactly mean to improve forecasting? Or a real example, if you can.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, typically in a POC, we take your data and you provide like a benchmark forecast, like the forecast that you have, that your sales representatives do, that your system does. And what we track is always forecast value added. So we track always our forecast against a benchmark. What is the value added of our forecast against this benchmark? And then on top, we track how can your team improve our forecast by inputs from the sales representatives. And by giving you that feedback, always like how much did it improve about the current situation, we can show you how much you can improve.
So this tool is for demand manager.
It is for sales representative, demand manager. We have finance on it. So with the financial planning functions, it very much depends. But it's the demand forecasting component is very much centered on the demand side. Those functions are more related to supply planning.
And sorry, I don't want to. And finally, what does it control tower does really?
It's basically observing the information and condensing the information to take the informed actions. So it's connecting all the information from demand and supply planning, from inventory management about disruption, capacity shortages, etc., to help you navigate the ups and downs in the supply chain.
Thank you, Christoph. Is there any other question? Autogrill, ENI, Stellantis.
No, for me it's okay.
Okay, so Christoph, thank you very much for your pitch, and then keep in touch. We come back to you in the next week with our results.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.